Nobody talks about the pressure that church musicians have to carry. A lot of them don't get to disconnect from church in the way that you do when service is over. Just because service is over for you, that does not mean that service is over for them. And during the week while everybody getting off work and out of class, 9 times out of 10, they are at rehearsal and probably getting ready for worship night. No matter what they got going on in life, they are still expected to show up and give 100% every time. Because a big part of their job is serving people through music, helping people heal through the choir, through the drummer, through the organist, through the pianist, through the musicians. Period. And Harky, they are actually very hilarious in real life. Just give them a little more grace, because sometimes those same musicians that are helping heal everybody else are fighting to keep themselves together by the grace of God. Nobody talks about the pressure.
Man, I love this video. I love this video. And I think there's so much truth to it that we don't consider when it comes to, church musicians and all of those things like that, and what we have to endure and what we deal with on a week to week basis. You know what I mean? Everything from like learning the songs to doing all that stuff. Like our job, you know, doesn't just end on Sunday. You know what I mean? Sunday is almost like the reset button because you got to get ready for the next week. You know what I mean? Like I told somebody recently, if you've ever played at a real church, I'm talking about a real active, big, mid-sized to mega church. I played it all from storefront all the way up to very large churches. And I told somebody the other day, I said, people don't realize that, like, if you're really playing in church, it's like being on tour 52 weeks out of the year, like rehearsals every week. You know what I mean? Like learning the material every week. If you're MD, then that's coordinating the band, that's directing the band. That if you're a minister of music, as we used to call it back in the day, or people still call it that, then you're responsible for the entire music ministry. It same goes for a worship pastor. They're kind of like in synonymous terms. Like you're responsible for the entire music department and making sure all of the parts are interconnected and working and everybody's showing up and everybody like it is a full-time situation, you know what I mean? And so even in that, with that being the case, musicians are oftentimes the least pastored member of a church. You know what I mean? Like the musicians typically don't get pastored well. You know what I mean? Like I can speak from my own experience throughout the course of 20, almost 30, getting close to 30 years, being a musician, church musician. And I cannot say that I have effectively been pastored at just about any ministry that I've been a part. The ministry that I'm at now is actually probably the healthiest that I've been at, and I actually feel like I'm being pastored. But up to this point, like most ministries that I've been a part of and been connected with, just didn't feel like I was really pastored, you know what I mean, through that, because we go through things like she said at the tail end, like you know what I mean, you're ministering to other people through your gift, through music, you know what I mean? And you need healing, you got issues, you got things yourself. I always think back to when I would play and altar calls, right? You got your altar call like post sermonic, you know what I mean, like ministering, where people get to come up for prayer and they get to get their issues ministered to and prayed for and all of those things like that. Well, you can't participate in that. You're ministering through, you're pushing that moment, you're assisting that moment. You know what I mean? And I can remember a bajillion times being in that position. And, there's things that was maybe said during the message, or even like just things that I was going through personally in my life in those moments where I'm thinking like, man, I really need somebody else to pray for me right now. Like, I really don't even have the I don't even really have it in me right now to like even assist this moment. I really want to be there at the altar right now with my hands lifted up, but can't do it because this is what you do. This is your gift. This is your assignment, as we call it, to minister, through music to people. And so you oftentimes get left out of those moments, or feel like even more feeling like don't you can't participate in the modes. You don't need to participate in those modes. You just got to figure your stuff out. And that's what happens to a lot of musicians. We get stuck in that place of having to figure it out ourselves, having to pastor ourselves, having to walk through these things alone. And this is why you have so many musicians that deal with some of the vices, you know what I mean, that they have, from alcoholism to drug use to um, um, sexual deviancy, you know what I mean, across the bay, mental health issues, because we're not being pastored. We're not being checked on. You know what I mean? It's assumed that because we're so quote unquote powerful in our gifting, and when we play and all of these things like that, people are ministered to, healed, uh, atmospheres are shifted, all of that, fancy charismatic jargon that we use, that we're okay. You know what I mean? God has got his hand on us because we're able to minister to other people. You know what I mean? And that's far from the case, which is why you find so many of us struggling through these things, struggling with these things. You know what I'm saying? Because we're having to walk these journeys alone. You know what I mean? And I know, and I say that knowing that there are quite a ton of pastors out there that effectively pastor their musicians, that effectively understand how to steward a creative. So I'm not talking to those type of pastors. And if you got a pastor like that, please mention them down in the comments section, and talk about that experience, because it needs it. Because I have not always shared that experience across the ministries that I've been a part of. If anything, I've been prostituted. I've been taken advantage of with my gift. You know what I mean? I've been overlooked or overworked. You know what I'm saying? And underpaid. And all of those situations, I've been across the entire gamut of that reality. You know what I'm saying? Only to have mostly pastored myself through a lot of things in my life, and that's the sad reality. Luckily for me, I have had other connections outside of ministry and brothers and accountability people to help me walk through certain areas of my life. You know what I mean? As I try to do for other people now, is to try to help them walk through these spaces in their life. But largely, I've had to walk this journey alone, and I know that there are tons of musicians out there that have to do the same, that continue to do the same. You're watching this right now. You're going through some things right now, and you're like, I can't even tell my pastor about this. Like I can't tell anybody in the ministry about this. I can't tell my family members about this because of the position that I walk in. You know what I mean? Those are things that people don't talk about, and what we silently struggle with. You know what I'm saying? So I really think there's a lot of truth, and that's why this clip resonated with so many musicians across the world. And why you guys kept sending it to me and telling me that to give my opinion on it. I'm glad I took a look at it. But that is the truth of the matter. I think we all, if you are a non-church musician, if you're a pastor, if you're someone that's watching this, then you should definitely take heed to these type things and check in on your creative people in your church, your musicians, your drummers, your bass players. Because if you're seeing them, walking in these different vices, drinking and sexing, whoring around and, drug use and all of that, talking about them does not help them. These people need to be pastored through that. They need someone to walk them through it. Maybe they grew up without a father. Maybe they grew up with bad examples. Maybe they were around bad examples, connecting with the wrong people, and they got off into some things. Life just had a way of, kicking. And then the creative brain itself, this is stuff that people don't talk about. The creative brain itself requires so much mental energy to operate. Like she talked about earlier, that like your brain is always going, musically. You know what I'm saying? So yes, yes, we need more love. We need more pastoring. We need more of all of those things. But that's my thought process on it. You guys let me know what you guys think down in the comments section, and I'll talk to you guys on the next one. Yo, what up, guys? It's your boy, John Mike. If you've been rocking with my content and you want to go beyond what YouTube allows, what social media allows, that's exactly why I created my Patreon. Over there, I break down the real side of music tech, business, how this industry actually works, the creative side. I'm talking exclusive podcasts with your favorite creators. And there's 3 ways that you can join. There's a support tier that starts at just $5 a month. That's for people who just want to support my work and get early access to the content that I create. The Creator Plus tier goes deeper into the tools, the workflows, the plugins, everything that I use to create and scale out my content. And then there's the Business Plus tier. This is where we talk strategy, monetization, ownership, all of the things that I do to make money, how I scaled a 7-figure company, how you can do it too, asking questions, all of the crazy things that you want to know about how to build a sustainable, real career in music. So if you're really ready to take this to the next level and grow your creative business this year, then please join me over there at Patreon. The link is down below. I'll talk to you guys over there. Let's get it.